Hi guys, welcome back to the channel today. In my last video, we drafted the pattern for this cute crochet top. If you're yet to see that, please go ahead and check that video out. We drafted this pattern and today I'll be recreating this top with this fabric here, and you can see what I came up with after I was done making my own top. Well, I decided to have some kind of designs on my own because I like to be a little bit extra. But so if you're interested in seeing how I made this, please keep on watching and let's go into today's video. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric in two. Ensure that your fabric is in a fold when you are using these patterns. So after I was done cutting all my pieces out, I folded my fabric in two. Like I said, ensure that your fabric is in the fold. I also went ahead to cut out the lining pieces as well. So this is what we have for the front and the back pieces. So I went ahead to add half an inch stitching allowance all the way around, and for this front piece I added extra 3 inches so that we'll be able to have that basque effect in front that you are seeing right here. So that's basically all. When you're cutting the front, add extra 3 inches to the measurement you have on the pattern paper. Just in case you're wondering why this sculpt is looking different from the other ones I've been sharing before, you probably haven't seen my previous video. This one has an armhole, that's why it's looking like this. So one thing I love about this is the fact that we can add any sleeve we want to add to this top, which is one thing that a lot of people are always asking about. So right now I'm just arranging the cups how they're supposed to be, like this. You know, they're supposed to stay like this, so I'm going to put it right side facing each other, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down and then go over to the sewing machine and stitch down the side. So guys, I've stitched it down here, and now I'm just going to make notches around this cup area here so that it will come out really nicely by the time we turn it to the front side. So we're just going to flip it like this, and you can see how beautiful our cup looks. So this is basically all for the first part of this cup, looking really nice. We're going to leave this aside and now work on the front part of this pattern. So guys, these are the 3 front pieces. You can see that the one I have in the middle is longer than the ones on the side. So I'm just going to go ahead now and pin this down here and go ahead and stitch it down, and I will do the exact same thing for this other side as well. So guys, it's stitched down and it's looking really nice. Can you see the back? And then when you flip it over, it looks nice. So you can see how I also went ahead to iron the cups as well. So you see how the cup is going to sit inside our top, and you can see how beautiful the neckline is looking already. So now what I'm going to do is to go ahead and cut this side of my pattern, just this other side here. Cut it, just follow that circle that we had before like this, so that I will use this exactly to cut on my wadding that we're going to use for this cup. So now I'm going to place my pattern on the wadding. As you can see, the wadding is folded into 2 because we have 2 cups. So fold it into 2, place one of the patterns, and we are just going to cut exactly on it. We're not going to add any stitching allowance to this pattern. So the 2 parts of the cups are ready like this. Ensure that you use the pattern paper to arrange it properly so that when you stitch down your cup, it will come out really nicely. Also, if you want to place a ready-made cup inside this pattern here, it's totally fine. You don't have to do this that I'm doing right now if you have a ready-made cup. So I'm just arranging my cups the way they are supposed to be, using my pattern paper to ensure that they're in the right place. So this is how they're supposed to be. I'll go ahead and stitch it down on the sewing machine with my gather stitches. I'll just place them right side facing each other and just use my gather stitches to stitch it down. So if you've done that, if you don't have a gather stitching machine, you can use your hand to just join these two together, but ensure that you're doing it in a zigzag form. So I've shown you guys how to do this severally on the channel, so that's why I didn't go to the sewing machine for this. So can you see I'm placing the cup right into the cup fabric? Can you see? Like this. Ensure that you're placing the right one as well. So guys, for those of you that are familiar with wadding, you realize that it has two parts. So there's a part that has this shiny effect. So that's the part you're going to face towards the actual fabric, right? So that when you go ahead and iron it out, it will just gum together, just like the way gum stay is. So that's what I did here. I'm facing the part that has that shiny effect towards my fabric, and I'm just going to go ahead now and iron it in place. So I've ironed it down, and you can see what it looks like now. It's no longer going to pull off. It has gone together. This is why I love working with this wadding. So for the front part, I'm going to now get this basking first from this waist here where that our curve started here. So I'm just going to make a point here and then use my ruler to just connect it in a slant towards the middle. Can you see what I'm doing? If you don't understand all the things I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing. Just connect it towards the middle, and I'm just marking it. I'm sorry, my chalk is not very sharp, but I hope you understand what I'm doing here. So this is what I have. Can you see the basket fit? Very nice. So yeah, that's why I made the front a little bit longer. So now it's time to decorate this front pattern with the bias. So like the one we're following, they only had just one bias decoration in front, but I decided to have 3. So I'm placing one right now in the middle, and then I placed other 2 on the sides, and it's going to be on the joining you had on the sides of it. When you're through pinning it down, just go ahead and stitch it down on the sewing machine. So this is what it looked like after I was done stitching it down. So now I'm going to put this aside and work on my cups. So for the cups, this is totally optional because the one we are following didn't even decorate the cup, but I'm just the one who wanted to decorate my cups with bias as well, to make it look like it's a 3-part set when it's actually not. So it's just a design. It's optional. If you don't want to have this, it's totally fine. We can go ahead and work with the cup like that. So I'm going to come from this center where we joined it together and go up by 3.5 inch. I marked it here. Now from the top, I'm going to mark 2 inches. Can you see? 2 inches, 3.5 inch in the middle, and then from the other side here, from the top of this side here, I'm marking 3.5 inches as well. I'm sorry, I don't know why my marker, I didn't notice this at all because it was clear to me, but it's not clear on this camera at all now. So I just marked that line across, and I'm just going to do the same thing for this other cup. 2 inches on this middle part here. Can you see? 2 inches here. Then on this center part, I have 3.5 inches. You mark 3.5 inches here. 3.5 inches, and just connect it to meet each other like this. And then from this side, you take it from the top, another 3.5 inch, and then you just join it together. So we have a straight line across. Now I'm going to place my bias on it. So we'll start from the joining we have in the middle here. So I will just place my bias here, and it's going to stop on the line. So I'm just going to pin it down like this. So we just cut it out here and then place the other bias across like this. Can you see? Can you see how nicely it's looking already? I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down as well. I'm placing it on that line that we created just now, just so you know, it's right on the line. So it's going to cover the top of the other one so that that part of the bias is not showing. So we just cut this part out as well, and I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch it down First stitch down the first one and then cover it with the second one and stitch it down, and I'll do the same thing for the other cup as well. So guys, the cup is ready and it's time to join it to the actual top. So I'm going to make sure that the biases on both sides, the top and the cup, are meeting each other just right at the same point, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin my cup all the way around from that point. So if you follow the patterns and everything well, when you pin this together, it's just going to stay perfectly in place. So I'm going to go right ahead and stitch it all the way to the armhole, and I will do the same for the other part as well. So guys, this is what it looks like. Can you see how the cups are looking on the inside? Very beautiful. I just love this view. It's so nice. Now turn it to the front. You can see how beautiful our corset top with sleeve is coming out, and you can see the sleeve area as well, looking really nice. Now it's time to work on the back pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and notch the part where our dart is going to be at the back. Just make notches there, and then I'm going to just fold it up like this and go ahead and stitch down my darts on the both sides. So I've gone ahead to stitch it down, and this is what I have. It's not showing for some reason. I think the yellow is just covering everything, but I've stitched down the darts. So now I'm placing them together, putting it on the front piece, ensuring that they're right sides facing each other, and I'm just pinning the sides down. Now guys, we're going to go ahead and measure out, take my actual measurements on this top. So on this bust area, I'm going to mark my actual measurement. First, I went ahead to just measure the whole thing to be sure how much allowance I need to take away. Sometimes when we are taking this measurement, it might end up being too small or too big. If we use the 1.5 inch stitching allowance that we used earlier, probably we made some mistakes inside, so it's just best to measure it out first, then know exactly how much allowance you're taking away from the side. I hope you understand that. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the sides down, and everything I've done on this actual fabric, I'm going to repeat it on the lining piece. So this is what I have after I was done stitching it down. Can you see? Don't bother yourself with why it's looking zigzag on the under. That's how it will look. So this is what it looks at the back, so it's not zigzag at the back. So now this is the front, and I've gone ahead to stitch down the lining just like I've done in front. I told you guys I was going to do that. So this is what I have here. So now I'm going to turn the lining and the actual fabric to face each other right sides, just like I'm doing right now. Ensure that they are facing each other right sides. When you've arranged it in place, you can actually go ahead and pin this down. So now we're going to stitch down this neck, this armhole, this neck area, and then the armhole, and then the neck again. We won't stitch these top areas here. So guys, I've stitched it down, the neck, the armhole, the neck, the armhole, and then the neck. Can you see what I have? I didn't stitch the top areas down, so that that's going to be the shoulder, so we don't need to stitch that down now. So I'm just making notches around, as you can see me doing like this, so that I'm going to go ahead and flip it to the right side, just like you see me doing like this. Flip everything over to the right side, and I'm going to go ahead and iron it out so that you guys will see what we have right now. My people, can you see how beautiful this came out? I'm really excited with this because now I can make corset top with sleeves. I'm not adding sleeve to this today because the pattern we're following does not have sleeve, but in my next one, trust me, I'm going to be adding sleeve, and I'm going to be making more of this because it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Now it's time to add our boning to our boning casing. So like we always do, I'm just going to measure it out, cut it out. And when you're measuring it, make sure that it has like, it's like 1 inch less than what you have on your casing, so that you have enough room to stitch it down, so that you don't go and stitch on the boning when you're sewing it down. So now I'm just going to bond the edges of the bone so that it's not too sharp, and then we're going to place it through all our casing. So when you're through placing your boning through the casing, don't worry about the fact that it will be standing in a weird manner. Just go ahead and iron it out, and you see that it will come out really straight. So when I was done with that, I'm just flipping it over again. Can you see what I'm doing? Flip it over like this. Ensure that the basque effect in front, they are meeting each other like this. I'm going to go ahead and stitch this down now under here, and I'll do the same thing for this other side as well. So it's all stitched down, and this is what I have, looking really nice. So I'm going to flip it to the right side now, and then when I'm through with that, I'll go ahead and iron it out. Like guys, you guys will notice that I don't play with my ironing. It just has a way of making fabrics and clothing that you're sewing just look really nice. So after I was done ironing it, this is what I had. You see, we're almost done with this. So I'm just cutting away this excess lining here, so that everything is nice and clean. So this is what we have. So finally, we're going to be joining this armhole area together, the shoulder area, I'm sorry. So here, I'm going to go ahead and stitch that area down, and then this part here, I'll just fold it in by 1/2 inch to secure it so that it doesn't fray later, and stitch it here. And after that, I'll just go ahead and add my zipper, and that will basically be all for the top. So guys, after I was done with everything, can you see our basque effect in front, and the back is shorter? So I've stitched down this shoulder area, and the zipper is fixed. Everything is done and ready, and I'm super excited at how this came out. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next one. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe.